Hello and welcome to another in the 10-minute tip series of programs. This one is on stress management for the credit department. My name is Michael Dennis. Let's jump in. By way of introduction, job stress can result in lower quality work, missed deadlines, and for the employee, burnout. While it's true that everyone feels some work-related stress, the kind of work that's done by the credit department can in fact be unusually stressful. Why? Well, if for no other reason than the decisions that we make can have a direct impact on the company's profitability. The good news is that there are a number of fairly simple, straightforward ways to reduce stress for people working in the credit and collection department. For example, you can make sure that you know what your manager expects from you. And the reason that's important is that misunderstandings can lead to job-related stress. It's also important to be very realistic about what you can achieve and about what improvements can be made and how quickly. Another way to reduce stress is to be sure to tell your boss in advance if, for whatever reason, you're not going to be able to meet a deadline or a goal that has been established or agreed upon. Here's some more ways to reduce stress. Make certain that the goals that have been established with you or for you are in fact achievable. And if they aren't, say something as soon as possible. Establish must-do lists rather than creating daily to-do lists. And make sure that that must-do list is relatively short, meaning that it's properly prioritized. Keep a record of your own personal achievements and accomplishments on the job. Why? Because employers often do a pretty good job of documenting what went wrong, but spend less time, energy, and effort on documenting the things that go right. Here are some more stress reduction ideas. Avoid toxic coworkers. Become better organized. Forget about the idea of trying to multitask and focus on doing one thing extremely well at a time. Focus on excellence in your work, but not on perfection in your work. Try to act rather than trying to react to conditions changing from time to time. And sharpen up your time management skills. Some additional stress management tips include the idea that we need to learn to recognize what is and what is not in our sphere of control. And equally important, to really accept, to recognize and accept that some things simply are beyond your ability to influence and control. Reconsider the requirement that you attend any or all regularly scheduled meetings. In other words, make sure that the meetings that you go to are ones that you truly need to attend. To reduce stress in the workplace, regularly request feedback from your boss about your performance. In other words, don't wait until the annual performance review to have a discussion about his or her concerns about your performance to date. Here are more ways to reduce stress that are both simple and pretty straightforward, and I would say intuitive. Get up and walk around at least once an hour. Don't be stapled to your desk for hours at a time. At work, consume less caffeine, less sugar, and less nicotine. Take all the work-related breaks that you're entitled to take. If you're entitled to 15 minutes every 2 hours or 3 hours, then take those 15 minutes. Go for a walk, get a cup of coffee, get a glass of water, whatever you need to do to get away from your desk for that short period of time. Another way to reduce stress is avoid social media websites while you're at work, not simply because they can be potentially stressful with their content, but because their time sucks. They literally have the ability to enable you to waste more time than you had ever intended to do visiting on social media sites. So avoid them entirely if at all possible. More ways to reduce stress include the idea that we need to ask questions. Rather than guessing at answers, we need to raise our hands and say, I have a question, or request clarity and clarification, as opposed to wondering and worrying about whether or not we understood the instructions or the request that we've received. Be sure that you take the time off that you're entitled to. In other words, disconnect from your activities, disconnect from your email, disconnect from work over the weekend and while you're on vacation. To reduce stress, plan on being 10 minutes early for all meetings that you do, in fact, need to attend and choose to attend. Have an organized and relatively simple workspace. And raise your hand and ask for help when you need it. Ways to reduce stress continued. In the workplace, try to say what you mean and mean what you say. Try to find a mentor, either in your organization or outside of your organization. It's my opinion that the reason that mentors work is that the problems that you bring up, the problems that you want to discuss with them, you're bringing to them because they're new to you. But often those problems are not new to your mentor, which is why it's oftentimes apparently relatively simple for them to point out a path around a problem that for you was very difficult or presented a roadblock to your success. If you're feeling work-related stress, please have an honest conversation with your manager about that situation and do that as quickly as you can. To limit your stress, know specifically exactly what is expected of you in the context of goals and objectives for the near future, for the next 3 months, for whatever the timeline is, whether it's a quarter, 6 months, a year. Understand in very great detail what it is exactly that is expected, how your performance will be evaluated, when it will be evaluated, what criteria will be used, etc. In discussions with your boss, make sure that you discuss any concerns that you have about your workload. Counting to 10. I think it's fair to suggest that the credit department has at least its fair share, if not more than its fair share, of stressful situations. My advice is when you're in a stressful situation, try to slow things down. And in particular, slow down on the decisions that you make and on the actions that you take. More specifically, try to avoid the temptation when we are stressed of making knee-jerk reactions. What I encourage you to do, quite literally, is to slow down, take deep breaths, and calm yourself. Because when you react in haste, you're likely to make errors that you wouldn't make if you took just a bit more time, took a few breaths, thought it through, thought it over, perhaps even consulted with someone else before taking action. When you are in a stressful situation and you don't know the answer, please take time to consider your answers. It's perfectly acceptable to say something like, let me think about that, or let me discuss that with my manager, and I'll get back to you later today with an answer, with a response. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this program. If you'd like to see the entire on-demand program on stress management and stress reduction for credit pros, please contact the sponsoring organization, Wisconsin Credit Association, for information about that program. Again, thanks for your time. Have a great day.